Hi, I'm Lesley.
And I'm Mishana.
And this is the Lesley and Mishana show on WHATSUPNW.com.
Today we're going to do things a little different.
Yes, besides having cats and dogs in our video that are making noise, we are interviewing British actor James Faulkner.
James is starring in a film written and directed by Andrew Hyatt called All Those Small Things.
Yes, and it is making its debut at the Seattle International Film Festival, and part of it was filmed in Spokane.
So stay tuned.
Where are you?
We are very
Where are
good.
you?
Seattle.
Seattle.
You're in Seattle.
Yeah, so not too far. Well, about what, 4 hours from Spokane, where the movie was filmed.
Right. Is it a bright sunny day in Seattle?
For once, yes, it is. Although
It's
we have
early
similar
for
weather.
you.
Yes.
Nice.
Well,
9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. That's why we have coffee.
Coffee? Have you had coffee, Lesley,
Yes.
Mishana? Have you
I
had
have
both?
had-
Are you sharp? Good. I have tea. Afternoon
Oh,
tea.
I like that cup.
Oh, goodness. This is all. Well, we're gonna have the barking dog in our video. So that's awesome.
Fine. My grandson is here. He may well bark as well. Freddie, come and say hello to Seattle.
Perfect.
They've got a dog called Stanley. This is Freddie.
Hi.
Freddie, give us a bark.
I like your name.
Okay,
Oh,
I've got
I
my
like
own
it.
bark. Here, I've got my own bark here. And that's Stanley the dog. He barks. Almost every time I open my mouth, he barks. And that's Lesley, and that's Mishana, and they're in Seattle. Now, these lovely ladies, they've got a whole list of questions they're going to ask me about me.
That is a big list.
It's a big list. You're right. It's a big list.
You can help
And they
them
may not
answer
get a
them.
sensible answer. But
Yeah.
off you go.
Off we go. All right.
Question one.
So clearly, we loved the movie, All Those Small Things,
Did you?
and Jonathan Robbins' character.
Did you laugh? Did you cry?
All of the
All of
above.
the above, yes.
Great.
I have to say, the week we saw the movie on like a Thursday, but that Tuesday a friend of mine had passed away, and I had all like these thoughts in my head about life. So the movie for me came very
Yeah.
timely to watch it. So
Right. Yes. I imagine.
yes.
But there
So
are some
on a
laughs
non-
as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, we laughed a lot. So what led you to the role for the movie?
It was written for me.
By the Rebel Cat Productions ladies?
No.
Or
By Andrew Hyatt.
okay. Oh, fantastic.
I will explain. I'll try and be brief.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to remember this far back in time now, but I think September 2017, I shot a picture in Malta called Paul, Apostle of Christ, which was written and directed by Andrew. And it's a lovely film. I spent a few evenings with Andrew, not many, because the schedule was very tight, but he got to know me a little bit. And then, bizarrely, January 2019, a script appears in my email, written based on me, but now I'm a game show host called Jonathan Roberts. Now that is an extraordinary thing to happen to an actor, you know, and it's a beautiful script and a really interesting story of a man disassociated from life, his friends, his family, not really coming to terms with it, and by a series of random meetings in what for him is, I will refer to it as a friend of mine might, as shabumfuck. He has to make, we're recording this, how unfortunate, he is forced in a sense, he's been forced in a sense to reevaluate how he relates to other people. And through others' straightforward approach to life, unsophisticated approach to life, he discovers himself again. We loved All Those Small Things, and your character, Jonathan Robbins, what led you to this role? It was written for me. Simple as that. And how lucky am I to have a director who is prepared to give me the time and the space to give a performance like that, which I would not be accorded in this country. I so very often play the hard ass, the villain, the stern, the authoritarian, high status, get the best frocks, of course, I don't mind that. But I mean, all that stuff, and the best jewelry. And, I pay popes and generals and kings and princes and da-da-da and da-da-da and da-da-da. So now I get to play, effectively a washed up afternoon TV host. The interesting thing about it was they had no game show. They didn't know what the game show was. No idea. So I'm sitting on a set in Croatia playing General Francis F. Cameron, father of the Second Order of the Crimson Republic, in uniform, surrounded by soldiers and concrete and military hardware and vehicles. And I came up with the format, which is based effectively in a public library, because young people don't read enough. Nobody reads enough. And I thought, if we can make this format work, and it's not really gone into at all, but the format that I designed was that each contestant who applied to be on the show would be given 6 novels to read in 30 days. And it would be a Shakespeare, a couple of classic novels, an American, a Russian, and a novel yet to be published. So what it does is let in the publishing trade as well. And they can publicize a book on TV. And it was always my intention that if somebody would buy those rights for me, that we would create a junior version where schools could compete against each other and develop a real knowledge of literature. And at the same time, keep alive the public library, because as you know, everywhere in the world, public libraries are being defunded.
Yep.
So the great thing about Andrew is he makes me a better person. And if you play a saint for Andrew, and Andrew is a man of faith, then it makes you an even better person. And it was Andrew who unfolded to me a wonderful portmanteau word: James, you need more comfortability. I had to process that a bit. And he was absolutely right. And actually, it's my openness now in screen acting, which Andrew is very much responsible for, that allows all the emotions to wash through Jonathan. And I think it's there on the screen. All those subtle little things. And you see the effect that almost every line has on him.
Yes.
Sometimes he rejects it. He rejects it through others' ignorance. But instead of belittling them, he tends to inform them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm famous for belittling people. My London agent refers to me as a monster. Let's hope it gets out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult, as you know, at the moment to sell a picture, because all the film festivals are virtual. And we just had the Berlinale in February, which I was at the Berlinale last year. I like going to the Berlinale. I love Berlin. And this year it was a virtual festival. Last year's Cannes Festival was a virtual festival. This year Cannes is supposed to take place, but they pushed it back from the first 2 weeks in May, where it ordinarily sits, to the last 2 weeks in July. And hopefully, France is in lockdown at the moment until the end of the month. Hopefully.
Right. So in reading the script for the movie, how did you find yourself relating to Jonathan Robbins' character?
With great deal of ease, in that it was largely based on me. And
Clearly.
except that I did get, when I went to drama school, my first job was for the Prospect Theatre Company, which effectively in 1970, I've been in this a long time, was before the Royal Shakespeare Company's touring company was created. Prospect was effectively the RSC's touring company. And it's the same company that started the careers of Sir Ian McKellen and Sir Derek Jacobi and many, many other actors. And I played the lead in the final graduation performance at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. We did Kiss Me, Kate. Since I reached the charming age of puberty, and began to finger feminine curls. Anyway, the following day.
No, you can keep
The
singing, it's fine.
The following day, the top 7 agents wrote to me. I joined ICM the day after that, and the day after that, I had a job. And it was a good prospect, because in those days, you didn't get your full equity card until you had served 40 weeks in the provinces. Essentially, an apprenticeship. And after 40 weeks, you get a full card, and that allows you to appear in the West End and on film and television. So I had a really lucky start, you know, and understudied every role in the cast. It was my job to go and sweep the stage, clean the stage, rush down to the dressing rooms, put on a frock and makeup, and then open the show.
Wow.
Good training.
Legit.
I've done it.
Oh, like
I know when someone's faking it with a mop. Trust me.
Oh my gosh. All right, so you see my next question, but since Andrew clearly wrote this script for you, so I'm assuming he also put the Downton Abbey references and all that.
Oh, no, that was quite a good in-joke, that, the Downton Abbey references. I thought that was very funny. That was not my idea. It was entirely Andrew's idea. But I love the fact that everybody keeps mistaking him for a character in, as they put it, Downtown Abbey.
Yes,
I
did.
Who pronounces it right is Svetlana, who refers to it as Downton Abbey. You know.
As American.
What is it like visiting the United States besides driving on the wrong side? Listen, I live in the south of France, darling. It doesn't matter what side of the road I drive on, what side of the vehicle the steering wheel is on. I've been doing it since I was 17 years old. It's really no big deal. And I've lived in Los Angeles for a bit, and I live as much as I can in Europe. It doesn't matter what. It really doesn't matter what side of the car, as the French would say. Le volant mauvais côté, James. The steering wheel is on the wrong side. Because I love it, because I have, you know, an old Mercedes I keep down in the south of France with le volant mauvais côté, you know, and if that goes into the garage, and they always get into the passenger seat. Ah, merde. Ah, putain. I have to get out and start again. Because I drive on the wrong side of the road, and eating brownies laced with ecstasy. I've never taken ecstasy. I've no idea what it does to you. I've no idea what it does to you. I assume it makes you happy. It's called ecstasy. So I've got a stupid grin on my face. But my only stimulant, I must admit, is, well, apart from nicotine, is a very good Burgundy.
Oh, yes.
Although at a push, I will drink a Californian Pinot, which is why I get it in. Cheeky little Pinot from Paso Robles. You know, you've got to know that Jonathan is an enophile. You know. It goes for, it's a bit of a, because when Ruby says, you know, I'm just here for a drink. What do you want? Do you have a bone? And she thinks I've said boner. We could have made that clearer, I think, which is what gets everybody's attention. I'd said boom, you know. But the E is not really silent. What are your thoughts on Spokane and the Pacific Northwest? Well, it's lovely. I had actually been to the Pacific Northwest, but never as far up as Seattle and Spokane. The furthest up I got prior to that was some years ago. Was an episode of a series called McKenna, which was shot in Bend, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Which is very beautiful up there. You know, it's a high plateau and very stunning. And that was kind of interesting, because that was my first real encounter with small town America, in a sense. You know, once you get off the highway and the RV parks, you know, and you go out, you know, it's all rather different. I certainly got kidnapped. I remember getting kidnapped by a hen party in a hotel, because they hadn't heard anybody speak quite like myself before. But that was sort of prior to Netflix, you know, when British product was probably harder to come by, and certainly prior to, you know, the comedies of Richard, you know, things like Bridget Jones's Diary, which I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
The ghastly Uncle Geoffrey. The bottom a man with the smell of whiskey and Will's whiff on his breath.
Sorry.
The chemistry between Jonathan and Dennis was comic gold, and it showed on the screen, which it does. what was it like working with Aaron? And how much fun did you, Aaron is a force of nature. Isn't he fantastic?
Oh, yes.
He's amazing. I mean, he's genuinely a fresh talent, in my opinion. You know, he's Jim Carrey on speed. Less 20 years.
Yes, we thought that while we were watching it. He looked like Jim Carrey at one point.
Yeah. I mean, and it just comes out of him. It's non-stop. It just goes on, you cannot stop this guy, So he just keep going, right? He didn't even notice I was watching sometimes. I'd just turn to Andrew and go. But I was really concerned about the casting of that role because it's really difficult to pull off unless you have it in you naturally, Not only did he pull it off, but he also wrote some of the bloody music. We actually did a big band James Bond rap together. He was giving it a thing. I would chime in, morning, Miss Moneypenny. Oh, actually, I did it as Sean Connery, who is also Grecian. I just left us. This wonderful Musselburgh accent. His relationship with Ruby was a father-like figure, and the significance of her name matching the traditional 40-year-old anniversary gift was evident. Talk to us about how you and Kerry approached creating that. Well, it was instant. I mean, she's a terrific actress, breaks your heart on screen. She really does. It's completely real. She's one of those extraordinary actresses that she can say almost anything to you and it melts your heart. She has that extraordinary, although she plays it with a tough exterior, but her vulnerability is evident, I think, every time the camera rests on her. There are very few people who have that kind of vulnerability on screen, that kind of openness, that kind of honesty. I will mention one actress who plays Bridget Jones. She has the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Renee Zellweger is always extraordinarily vulnerable on screen, I think. And Kerry has that as well. Jonathan has some heavy life realizations in the movie. Have you experienced anything as profound in your personal life? And if so, what was that journey like for you? Mind your own business.
Perfect answer.
That's all I'm going to give you. Old pro, darlings. There's nothing I can't do. Except reveal the inner workings of James Faulkner. But I will tell you that my wife is just crossing in the background. We have been together since the day we met, October the 24th, 1976.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now that's pretty good.
That
Okay, Jonathan realized being a game show host wasn't fulfilling his soul, and at the end of the movie decided to follow his heart. If you found acting to no longer be fulfilling, where would your heart lead you next? That is a good question. And it's something that I ask myself every time I'm not working. Okay. Listen, the great privilege of being an actor is that you get to parachute into everybody else's profession. And you study it, I'm not taking law exams or anything like that, but you do get reasonably familiar with their world and the life and the vernacular and the ins and outs of it. I've been a general, a squadron leader, a war hero many times. I've been a barrister. I've been a solicitor. I've been a contract killer. I've been a spy. I've been a double agent. I've been a quadruple agent. There is no world into which I have not really been parachuted. What I do in my spare time, one of my great things, I have a thing about architecture and design. I've had a building company. I come from the building industry. I enjoy the permanence of what one does. I've done up many, many houses. The house in the south of France, we've had to refurbish from top to bottom. It had been abandoned for 7 years. So it's, everything and landscaping. And technically, I don't do the work, for God's sake. I just do the pointing. I'll do it. I can draw, to scale architecturally, all of those things. I'd like to have done that. I'd still like to do something in that world, have a gallery of some description, fine art and fine things I have an appreciation for, and I have a good eye. My professional designer friends tell me, they said, if you want to go shopping, we would trust you. You want to go and buy stuff, or we would trust you to do it. So yeah, that's always appealed to me. I know one should say I'd want to be a doctor and a part of the team at Médecins Sans Frontières and do something really important, and actually save or change people's lives. I was a teacher for a couple of terms before I went to drama school. Loved doing that. But you chose this story to focus on the marginalized theme of age and aging. Yeah. What do you want the audience to take away from this film as well? Well, it's very diverse, the casting. Very diverse. Alice is played by, I think she's half Puerto Rican. Ruby is full Sioux Indian. Although it doesn't show, but she is. She grew up on a reservation in South Dakota. Aaron Della Villa, I'm assuming, has Italian blood, And then you've got me representing, shall we say, the senior aspect of that diversity. So the casting is actually really quite widely diverse, I would suggest. And that is very much part of the ethos of Rebel Cat. But we live in curious times. We really do. And I think it behoves one to keep a sense of humor and a large pinch of salt at the ready.